I deleted my Facebook account, but I still have an Instagram account. So am I really improving the world? Not really. And like, it's not really the internet either. Like, they really lock it down. Like, you have to put a link in bio. Like, you see this term link in bio or phrase is now a phrase because Instagram just doesn't let you link to things, which is like, that's kind of against the whole philosophy of the internet. They're kind of just locking you into their system. But that's how I think that just the world's going to be now. Mm-hmm. The web is going to die and the internet will be apps. I follow some indie like efforts to like change that, like micro.blog, but have you ever heard of micro.blog now?
No. And so what's their goal?
It's kind of like you have complete control of it. Like, you don't have to even host your posts, like your writing and stuff, on their website directly. What you can do is have your own blog, post to your own blog, and then use that system it'll automatically import it into their system so other people can interact with you. And it's kind of like Instagram, but you have to pay to be on it.
Okay.
And there's no ads. Rather than Instagram's free, but you have ads. It's like the opposite way around.
But then people have to be able to, first of all, have devices that they can access your work on, and then also the money to keep paying for that service. So your reach would
exactly.
be I think there's ways around everything.
But like what I did, I don't have the money to pay for it. So what I did is just find another free host, WordPress.com, and put mine on there.
Yeah, I've heard of WordPress.
Yeah. And then you linked in. But I don't think you can never, it's a really cool idea, and whether you get the benefits of actually going to trouble. I'm going to edit all this out. Hi, my name's James. Welcome to Gimmerish FM. I'm here on the shores of Lake Munga in West Leederville. Is this West Leederville or is this Wembley? It said that came up on the map.
I think it might be Wembley.
Who are you? Who does this voice belong to?
This voice belongs to Kirsten.
Is that actually how you say your name, or is that
Perfect.
Adjusted to Australians?
No. That is the intended pronunciation.
Okay. Because I know there's like some... I'm guessing by your accent. Where is your accent from?
Scotland.
Yeah. I know there's some... They try to anglicise some Scottish pronunciations, right? Do they?
I think there's more Irish names
like
that are spelled...
Siobhan.
Yes.
Saoirse. Saoirse. Isn't it Saoirse? The one that's famous from Atonement?
Is she from Atonement?
I don't know. The young
She's
girl.
in Little Women.
Yeah.
Have you seen it yet?
No. Is it good?
Yes.
I really want to see
Extremely good.
I quite enjoy Greta Gerwig's work. Although, I saw a previous adaptation of that book. Is it from a book?
Yes.
When I was a child, and it was probably one of the most traumatic movies of my childhood, I would have to say.
It's tragic.
I never saw that movie with the horse in the mud till I was an adult.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, that was it.
Are you talking about Warhorse?
No, The Never-Ending Story. Did you see that as a kid?
I did, but I don't really remember it.
You probably blocked it out. It's so traumatic.
Maybe. Did the horse die in the mud?
Yeah, he got stuck in the mud and just drowned in front of the kids.
Why didn't Atreyu save him?
Well, because he's stuck in the mud, man. It's quicksand.
I did block that out. That was obviously too traumatic for me.
Yeah.
Oh, was Atreyu in Neverending Story? It was. The dog was Atreyu.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
It was very beautifully sort of shot, that film. I was like quite shocked. I had the benefit of watching it first time probably on Blu-ray because I missed it on VHS, which probably would have ruined it back in the day. But we're going on lots of tangents here. I think I found you on Instagram because you advertise yourself, at least your Instagram profile, as kj.writer.
Yes.
What is that, I'm trying to have creatives on this podcast. Is that your creative outlet?
Yes.
Or is this just one?
I don't really have any other creative pursuits apart from writing.
Okay.
And it's only recently, within the last year or maybe a little bit more, that I've started to publish online. I don't know if Instagram is actually the best form for it. I should probably look into other ways that I can put things out where it's longer, and then maybe also have other people connect to me that are also doing the same thing. Yeah, I do find it's quite good, even from a promotional sense, because everyone is on Instagram, and yeah, I think it's been quite gratifying as well to share work in a selfish way, because it's so difficult to really get work out. But this way, it's just quick little snippets, and it's just a good way to kind of show yourself as a writer and good exposure for free. So.
Did you just start one and go, or did you see other people doing that and go, I should make a writing account? Or is that your only account?
That's my only account. I don't know. I think I just needed to give myself a push to start putting stuff out there. I heard about people talking about like Instagram poets and stuff sometimes in a way that wasn't overly flattering. But yeah, just
like Instagram models, but Instagram poets.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that people are probably maybe I am the butt of random people's jokes on the internet as well, the way that some other Instagram posts are. But I think it's
about
good.
Everyone.
That's it, and it's kind of good just to see what the reaction is and see who you can connect with and do little projects with. It's not really monetary for me. It's more just the act of doing it, and then maybe meeting someone who wants to draw one of my stories or wants to narrate it.
Yeah.
Or
sort
even
of networking.
Yeah, definitely.
Come on a podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, exactly.
You said your background is from Scotland. Like, I assume you grew up?
I grew up in Perth, though.
You grew up in Perth?
Yeah.
And you get your accent from your parents and family?
Yes.
Where in Perth are you from?
South of the river. Where did you grow up?
Just over the other side of the lake in Leederville. So did you go to private schools?
I went to Seven Oaks.
Is that just
That's
government
a state school? Yes.
Yeah, okay. What was that like?
Good.
Did you have a good time?
Yeah, my mum works there.
What was she doing?
She, at that time, was a business and IT teacher.
Okay. Did you ever do business and IT?
I did not. No.
Cross
and
paths?
she's also a computing teacher.
Okay. So were you nerdy growing up, having a computer teacher as a mum?
No, I'm very disappointing. I'm a total Luddite. There's been many situations where I've had to call mum in technological emergencies. Yeah, and I'm actually not allowed to borrow her devices because I have a history of breaking things.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, accidentally deleting things, dropping things.
Bottles of water over keyboards.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A bit more destructive.
So what did you do? Did you want to be, I don't know, do you call yourself an artist?
I call myself a writer, but I always follow it up with the fact that I don't have a published novel or anything like that, but it is my passion.
So you would like to do it professionally, like write in a magazine or something?
Not magazine.
Write it in a paper?
No, I would love to write short stories and eventually novels professionally, but at the moment I'm just happy to create work. I used to write plays, but I kind of stepped away from that, and yeah.
Did you is that your first thing out of high school or university? Were you doing theatre?
Well, I didn't actually start my undergrad until I was 23, but I was always writing short stories ever since I was small, diaries and...
How did you get into plays? Were you doing theatre?
I lived in London when I was 21, and I was just going to the theatre heaps. Yeah. And then I just started to play around writing plays, and then I decided to come back to Perth and applied to do the performance arts degree at Curtin, and I got in, and
As
just
a writer?
from there. Yeah, so my interest was in writing, but with that course you have to do everything.
Yeah.
So I took a lot of creative writing units as well. But yeah, it was a really
So did you get to
good
put a
time
show
frame.
on?
Yes, I put a couple of shows on in that time.
I think I've been to fringe shows, I think at Curtin, and I assume the shows at Curtin are all sort of Curtin students.
During Fringe.
Yeah.
Probably. That could be, or alumni coming back to put on shows. Curtin, when I was there anyway, had a show once a year that a professional director would do, working with third-year students mainly, and then they would put it on at Blue Room.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so that's a really good opportunity. And then they have the Hayman Theatre there as well, where students submit plays, and then however many are chosen for the semester, and then from that same group of students from the cohort, they pick their cast.
So what did you, like, you're putting stuff on as part of the classes, but you're performing in other people's
Yes.
works as well?
So you can have shows that you write and put on, but then within the course you'll also work on things, but generally not whole plays. And there'll be large-scale plays that the course offers, and then you might do the design element, or you might stage manage, or you might perform, but you won't write. These are plays that are already written.
Is there a big sort of differentiation between like a director and a writer?
Absolutely.
So you would
But I
write
can't
things and not
really-
direct it, and vice versa?
I have written and directed twice. But yeah, no, that they're completely different skill sets. But I have to say my experience in theatre is extremely limited because I didn't do it for very long. But they are different roles, but often people will direct their own writing.
Okay.
But I think it's always interesting when you have people who write and then give their work to someone else to direct.
Yeah.
Maybe they think they have more vision, or are braver, or maybe have just a personality that can, you have to have quite a dominant personality to be a director.
Yeah.
Or, have that certain element of control that maybe a writer doesn't. And then also if a writer directs their own work, they might get a bit lost in themselves and not be able to see things that other people can, and it all becomes about you. It's quite easy to do that, I think, especially when you have people who write, direct and perform in their own work.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess you said you're moving away from that, but if you were to, if you were going to write something in that world again, would it just be to write, or would you be interested in directing?
I wouldn't want to direct, no.
Yeah. Don't get that involved.
Not that. I just think other people have the skill set to do that, and I don't understand performance in the way that someone should if they're going to direct. I don't think I have the personality that's suited to directing, and then also I just think I would feel too self-involved if I wrote and directed like something full length. So I wrote and directed a uni show that was put on, and that was really fun and great, but that show was about half an hour long. And then I wrote and directed something for a program called 600 Seconds at Blue Room in 2015. But that's just a short block, but that was really fun. But again, it was quite intimate. The cast was only 3 people. And then the last thing that I wrote had a public reading, but no direction because it was not put on stage.
Did you feel the need to get super involved in the like the sort of the theatre community? Like, were you doing stuff between semesters? Like, it's like, let's go make our own thing. Like,
yes, I think with that course as well, you can't not, because everyone around you is creating work, so you'll go and watch the work that they're creating. The units that you do mean that, say if you do design, then you will, or tech is what they call it, then you'll be the props manager, or you'll be the assistant stage manager, and you become involved in other people's work. You might come in and watch rehearsals to be a second or third pair of eyes. But yeah, but it's quite a small community here, so you end up knowing people quite quickly. But again, I'm very removed now.
Yeah.
But I will be going to a lot of things at Fringe this year. Like, I still love performance and I love theatre, but yeah, I'm not so involved now.
Okay. Can I ask why that is?
Yes, you can.
We've discussed this offline.
Yes. Well, it's mainly because I had a bit of a battered ego, which I, in retrospect, see. I had an experience. I had an opportunity in 2016. I was an emerging writer for Black Swan. There were 6 of us, and we got mentorship over 6 months with one of the wonderful writers and producers in the city. And I loved the experience, but I didn't write. I wasn't happy with what I wrote, and we had a public reading. We all did, and I had some amazing actors read my work. And yeah, I feel like I didn't do them or myself justice with the script. And I really mentally punished myself for that. And I felt a lot of shame that maybe I didn't need to put on myself. But I think that's the way because there were probably I don't know, 80 to 100 people that came to the reading. And
this is at the end of 6 months, like this is kind of your grad show.
Yes, basically. And then so one
in
person...
In a theatre? Or in just a room?
I know, in the underground of Black Swan.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I really frightened myself, I suppose, or I felt very exposed, and that I'd sort of not grabbed an opportunity where I should have. And I was a bit younger. I know it's not that many years ago, but I feel like I've matured a lot since then. And yeah, how I dealt with my disappointment was withdrawing from everything completely, and I didn't write anything for 2 years. I didn't open the document again until 2 weeks ago and read it for this podcast to refresh myself. And yeah, it was quite bittersweet to find that the script was nowhere near as terrible as I thought. And it's not perfect, but there were parts that have merit. And it's quite scary how much you punish yourself, and no one will ever know. And it's so futile, because you only hurt yourself if you have all this. If you're like a bottle that's holding this kind of poison, you only hurt yourself. It's not spilling out, and no one else will see it, but it just kind of stays in you, and it's quite debilitating. But I suppose that's through any medium. Artists are going to do this because you strive for perfection, and you want the gratification of being recognized for the work that you think you can create. And when you don't quite get there, it's mortifying.
Okay.
Very dramatic.
Okay.
So a lot of emotive language there.
I feel like we have to break this down a bit, because you sent me the script, and I get people send me stuff in the past, and I, just as fellow writers, you read other people's works and help them critique it and stuff like that. And I read your thing, and I really enjoyed it. Like, I was actually laughing out loud throughout while reading it, which
thank you,
almost never happens. And so what was the context? This is your grad show? You're going to...
Well, no, it wasn't a grad show, but it was like the showcase of the work we'd done.
Yeah, but it was so all the other 6 performed on the same night in the same venue?
No, so
it was just yours.
I think there was one in the morning and one in the afternoon. So yeah, over 3 weekends.
Okay.
I actually wasn't living in the country at the time, so I flew back for it. I was home for a week for it, so I didn't get to see the others, unfortunately. But I did.
Okay, so you had no context of how they were received?
No. That's also
or you heard stuff on the grapevine?
I suppose everyone will no one will ever say anything that's going to make you feel worse. If I've come up and be like, oh, I'm so ashamed, no one's going to be like, well, mine was terrific. Yeah. But I'm sure that everyone in that group is a very strong writer.
You literally flew in and did it, or did you come in and help the actors read it?
Sorry to speak over you. Well, you fly in. Well, I flew in, and then I had a morning with them where they read. We had a read through, and then they performed it in the afternoon.
Is it a light direction, or are you just listening to how they interpret it?
I just listen. The program has changed now. I've been to it since and watched other people's readings, and there's a month development with the actors.
Okay.
But it really, it was what I decided to build in my own head about what happened.
And does it start at that rehearsal?
As in, that's the first time they received the script? At that point, yes. So they got it on the day, and then they performed it in the evening.
And what was your reaction after the performance? Did you have any idea that this was going to hit you this hard?
No, not at all.
At that point?
And I think I was quite rattled because 2 people left through the reading. And I don't know.
In the audience or the cast?
In the audience.
Okay.
So maybe...
And you thought it was a reaction to your thing, or they might have just had somewhere to go?
I don't know. I don't know, but it didn't make me feel good. And then, I suppose I kind of just shut down. And, when people are talking to me afterwards, I was just like, oh my God, get me out. And then I just went to San Churros. And...
This is during the actual
No, after the performance.
But with the audience?
Yeah, so, The second... what do you mean?
We had the reading with the actors. And
so the morning I met with the actors and then had the read-through, and then they they read it again to the audience. So the audience arrived and I joined the audience.
Yeah.
And they did a great job. I don't know what I wanted, and I don't know what I expected. No.
The reading?
No, I don't know if I could, actually. I suppose it's just with this industry as well, with all creative industries, it's an industry that is... You need to be thick-skinned, but it's full of paper-thin people. You know, we can't take failure, we can't take criticism, and then, you know, it's the people... Also, this industry, I think all creative industries, it's more to do with if you can handle failure and get back up. It's like last man or woman standing is the one that's going to get the opportunities in the end if your name is there again and again and again, and you show that you can work well with people, create work that is good, that maybe even if you aren't the best, if you can keep going, your resilience could be just as important as your talent. Though I think, you know, it's obviously the most talented people that get the most recognition and the most opportunity, but the resilience is something that's so necessary that at that point I did not have. So I just got back on a plane to London, and I didn't pick up a pen for a long time, and really punished myself and felt so much unnecessary shame because...
From what, though? Just
I don't know.
Did you get feedback from the audience? Were they writing sheets?
They did, and then my mentor asked if I wanted the feedback, and then I sent him back a very dramatic message saying, would it crush my soul? And then he said no, and then I didn't ask for it, and then I never got it. And I love my mentor. He was fantastic, and he never pushed it. So yeah, I don't know. I guess it's that thing, you just want to be great. You want to be... I wanted that to be something that really started things off, but I wasn't ready, obviously, and that's okay.
Yeah. I mean, I've been in this almost exact situation. Like, I did a similar thing. It might have been in 2017.
That's the time for it, isn't it? The time for
But yeah, it was
crushing.
like a program where we got to develop a script and stuff like that, and then we had a reading, and a really large audience, like way more people turned up than I expected. We had the one rehearsal with the actors, and then we went in and did the show the next day. And then the audience were all given a sheet to give their feedback on, and I remember I did not look at those sheets for like 2 weeks later, so I definitely know it's like I can't better. Even though like some people, mine was a longer form thing, like a 2-hour thing, I think. What would yours have been? 1 hour.
Yeah.
So there's like...
Was this film?
It was a screenplay, yes.
Yeah.
It would be a feature film.
Yeah.
But they, I could tell like there was some people in the audience crying during parts of it.
Oh, wow.
So like, wow, I affected someone. So you kind of like, wow, at least someone connected with it. And, that I would probably never get the money to make that film. So it's just like, that's it. That's the sort of product. That was the show, even just as just actors sitting at a table reading.
What was it called?
I think I called it The Lodger back then.
And what's it about?
It's sort of about a young woman who can go into people's sort of minds while they sleep. And sort of basically she sort of starts off, she's, she just does it for dumb fun,
Mm-hmm.
She goes into the minds of the men she's sleeping with and messes with them, and eventually you find out that she's avoiding something, and that's that her mother has dementia.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the hero's journey is that eventually decides to use that power to go into her mother's mind and try and help her mother, find peace in her dementia kind of thing.
Oh, that's a beautiful concept.
Yeah, I'm not sure I executed it that well.
But you can always go back and edit.
Yeah, I'm turning it into a book. In fact, I've written that book.
Oh, wow.
I haven't released it yet.
Yeah, cool.
But
I'd like to read it.
Yeah, I don't know when it will ever come out because I have to actually sit down and edit it, which is the next thing. Mm-hmm. Which is you're moved into like more non-performance stuff, right? This is what we have in common. It's one of the reasons why I reached out to you to podcast.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the problem with filmmaking is it's a team thing, and you have to get so many people to say yes to it to get it made into a film. Because unless you stump the $1 million to make the film yourself, you're asking other people's permission to make it, and then they get a say in what it is. And I got very, that script got some traction and stuff like that, but every step of the way was people just wanting to change it into this. Some people wanted to turn into a horror film. Some people wanted to turn into like The Notebook, like a real sort of soppy romance thing.
Yeah.
And I kind of want it to be its own thing. Like anyway. I felt like it could be its own thing in between those two things, and that's what's unique about it, and that's what people go, oh, you should go see this because it's kind of like The Notebook, but it's more of a horror film, or, but everyone's like, no, it has to be one or the other.
So did you feel that the loss of control was too much?
Just really that really burnt me out, and so I've sort of stopped pursuing that. Maybe I'll go back to it one day, but I wrote it into a book, and the cool thing about this book is it's mine, and I can just publish it to my blog.
Yeah.
And no one has to... people can choose to read it or they don't.
Yeah.
And that's it. And no one has to tell me, oh, you got to change this to be successful. Mm-hmm. I don't really care about it being successful. I want it to be my sort of story, my piece of art.
Exactly. That's it. It's the pleasure of creation rather than monetary reward.
Yeah. So you went to San Churros afterwards, and what were you were upset?
Yeah.
And how long did you have to go before you got on the plane?
Another couple of days.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what did you do?
I flew back to London.
But what did you do between the San Churros and the plane?
Oh, social activities.
Okay. But you weren't like getting plastered going, oh my, what's with my life?
No. This
is a very internal struggle.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But so I was in London from January till September of 2017, and then I came home.
And in that time in London, you didn't want to do anything sort of creative, like you were sort of just...
No. I wrote one very short piece because I started to go running a lot. So I would go to the gym a lot, and I had no background in gymming and any kind of like structured exercise really, apart from dancing, but more not dancing for dancing in classes and stuff, just dancing for sensation. But I was in changing rooms a lot, and I really liked the camaraderie that I built because I was there every day with like these older ladies who kind of, because I was there before work, so I'd get ready for work and do my hair and do my makeup and stuff. And I got to know these women, and I wrote about them, and then I sent it to my friend, and she was just like, this isn't very good, because she'd read a lot of my other work, and she was like, yeah. So,
and that's it? She didn't say...
Well, she was just like, this is a bit blah. This is just
what
observations.
Format was it? Sorry.
It was kind of like a short personal essay about the how comfortable I felt in my nakedness with these older women in their nakedness, and how that's in any other realm of society. I would never just be randomly naked with these women. Yeah. But I was, and it was great. And,
And so it was kind of like... this is an article you could send somewhere, or is it like something? I don't
actually even know if I still have that document during that time. So, Fragile probably deleted it.
Okay.
But I could probably find it. But it wasn't amazing. But it was like the one time.
But was it meant to be read?
No one else has ever read it apart from her.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going around sharing it after she said that.
But you had no vision for what it would. Form it would be.
No. But then. I came back home and started a dip ed, and got really unhappy because I realized I was so disconnected from any creative fields, and I wasn't really talking to anyone about writing or reading, and I just kind of decided it was time, like maybe 6 months after that, to join a writing group that my friend Amber Lee runs. It's called Stuck on Words. It's been great. I met Lex, who you met in the car park earlier. She is also a writer. I met her there. And then my other friend Jay runs a great night called Words Wide, which is an open night where any kind of written medium is accepted. So you can sing, read a poem, short story. I generally read short stories, sometimes poems. But it's good to meet him and become part of that kind of world. And then just reading a shitload, just reading as much as I can. and writing new pieces, trying to enter writing competitions, not winning, but, still doing it, still hitting deadlines.
Yeah,
and
that's important.
Yeah. So it's been good just getting that, because I thought that part of my brain had died, or I'd killed it through my own gloom.
With doing the dip ed, like, is it just a general thing, or you can be like, I'm interested in being a English teacher or a drama teacher? Or...
Yeah, both. I'm trained for both.
Yeah.
And being in the classroom is cool because you can, especially English, you can do warm-up exercises where the kids write you short stories, and it's so amazing to see what's happening in their brains and see how well some of them write.
Yeah.
And because this generation, even though everyone loves to hate on this generation, I think they're the best. Teenagers are...
You got teenagers.
Yeah, and I love them. I love their openness and their honesty, and also their forgiveness.
Yeah.
They fight with you, they fight with each other, but then the next day it's fine. And there's so much underneath all the front, there's so much love.
Yeah.
And I think they're wonderful. And their work is really reflective of that. And even just being around all that young energy, you can be having the shittest day, but then, one of them will hear a joke for the first time that maybe you say or someone else says, but their reaction, they're just loving it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, oh, that's so joyous because that's new to you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like seeing all this kind of growth happening around you is really cool. So maybe that in a way has helped. And sometimes like the students I meet will make their way into my work, but never all about one kid, but just kind of like things that they say or think that are just like hilarious.
Yeah.
And sometimes tragic, because this time is harder for teenagers in a way than ever. But with this generation as well, they're reading more than we ever did. They're constantly consuming material.
Okay.
And
in what form?
The net, social media, the news, advertising, everywhere, even set texts.
Yeah.
It's just, I think they certainly read more words than they speak. They write more words than they speak on it. You might have a kid who won't speak all day, but they will be writing all day and reading all day.
Yeah.
So, it's pretty interesting. And like what they like to read as well. And the kids that like graphic novels and, there's a bee behind you. Can't see now. But yeah, so that's been good.
Can I ask you really cliche questions? Are they able to submit work in emoji?
No, they cannot submit work in emoji.
Is that something that's going to have to change?
I hope not. I will accept the progression in language maybe one day, but not yet.
Okay. So now you sort of, that sort of teaching reinvigorated. What was the chicken and the egg there? Like you joined a group and that started to invigorate you, or was it all sort of happening at once?
I just kept reading books.
Yeah.
I was like, that was beautiful. I wish I could write something like that.
Yeah. And
then I started to reread some of my old writing, and I was like, actually, it's not as good as what I just read, but it's not bad. Yeah. And then I just kind of, something ticked over again. I'm not too sure, but I think it's just been a progress of meeting more people who like to write and like to read, making friends who I can talk about books with, and then reading other people's writing where I'm like, oh, it's really different to mine, but I really like it. And I feel like I'm not embarrassed to share my work because I feel like we're kind of on the same level, or like understand words in the same way. And it's not like I think my writing is like really great, but I think it's nice to be with other people sometimes that are doing something similar to you at a similar level. And I have lots of friends who write much better than I do, but it's good to be in that environment. It's really helpful, and it's been really good for me and my self-confidence, because I felt like I lost a huge part of my identity when I wasn't writing, because I'd always been like that person who was writing short stories or poems and plays and this stuff, and then it was gone, and I was just like having a crisis because, I don't know, I'm self-obsessed. I don't know. But like, who am I? And then I remembered, and now I'm okay.
Okay. That's good to hear.
Thanks.
I feel like we've gone on a journey now. Come back to the reality. But yeah, it was really interesting to hear what you'd sort of gone through, because it's like, you know, based on what I read, I really enjoyed your play.
Thank you.
So I was like, oh.
Thank you.
But maybe like, see, I don't keep up with the, contemporary theatre, so maybe like, maybe if I read some of your other 6'5" people's things, I would be just like, I can't exist because this is too good, you know.
There was some wonderful work created.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone in that group. That's, I think, as well, I did feel quite out of place because I felt everyone else was more experienced and also a better writer.
Yeah.
Which is kind of good. I think it's good to be in a position where you are the weakest link.
Yeah.
Because then you can just climb up.
Push
you know?
yourself to be
Yeah.
better.
So that, but it was also quite intimidating as well. But it was a really, really good experience, and I'm so happy that it was afforded to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the future hold for you? Like, what are you working on now? Like, what's 2020, man? Lady? What's the big 2020 vision?
Well, my friend is a muralist and a beautiful illustrator, and she is illustrating one of my stories called Reader's Balloon Saloon, and I'm really excited for that collaboration. And really I'm just hunting around for other people to collaborate with. I think that it will just be a year of more short, weird stories, and hopefully do more narrations with people, because I really liked that. My friend narrated a story of mine, and another friend did the score, and that was a really cool mix of mediums coming together.
Yeah. Was that the thing on your YouTube channel?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Thank you.
How did that come about?
I wrote that story ages ago, like when I was like 20. And then my friend started to read other things on my Instagram, and she sent me a recording of her reading something else I'd written, and I really like her voice. And then her name's Emily Jane. But she's got this beautiful silky voice. And then I sent her that story, and I was like, what do you think about reading this? And she did a narration of it, and I loved it. And then I contacted my other friend who's a pianist, and I was like, would you like to do the score for this story? And he said yes. And then it all came about. And yeah, I was really, really happy with that.
And so it was designed to be on your YouTube channel, or did you have a public performance of it?
No, I just had that.
Yeah.
I would be interested in doing more about that. I also would love to make a short film with a short story I have. I'm currently kind of shooting that idea with another friend. It's a story about a man who, in his reality, in the world that they live in, he can take a formula that allows him to breastfeed.
Okay.
And so it's about the social impact on his life when he decides to make this change to his body and how he's received in corporate workplace. And yeah, so my friend and I, looking at that, he's got a film background. But we also, we started to work on that script but got a bit demotivated just because of life. But I'd be interested in doing that again. And then I have another story that I'm wanting to build on and also hopefully make into a short film about a man who, and I wrote this story quite a while ago, but a man who, or family that live in a house and they keep receiving mail for a man called Clive, and the mother's like, oh, you can never open that mail, what if Clive comes back? And it turns out that Clive actually lives in the roof. And so then they meet Clive, and Clive becomes part of their life. And then when they move house, the mother invites Clive to live in the next roof. But he declines, and then the boys miss Clive so much that they go back to their old house to visit him, but unfortunately it's been demolished. And it's about how, you know, things in life that you expect to be fixed aren't, and how life is always changing. And yeah, even these significant people or things, events, you know, everything runs its course. Sometimes you don't want it to, but yeah. But I'd like to make that into a short film.
That sounds cool.
Thanks.
I kind of like claustrophobic films. I was just thinking about that. I literally Googled last night, films set in single rooms.
Ah.
And I think they're all based on plays, because plays are usually designed to be
Yes.
on a simple sets and stuff like that. But,
Yeah. Like The Red Barn.
no.
It's a French play.
And
Maybe
it turned
check
into a
that
movie.
No, maybe. I've only seen it on stage.
All right. Okay. I went to a play in France.
In
but I
French?
don't speak. Yeah, I don't speak French. I didn't understand. And it was funny. I was with a friend, and like 2/3 of the way through the movie, they suddenly say "ma frère et ma sœur," which I think is my brother and sister, and ma mère. And I'm like, oh, these are a family. And we both turned to each other and said that at the same time, because those are the only words we recognised in French. And we, up until that, we both, I didn't know it because we couldn't speak, obviously, during the play, didn't realise that this group of people were a family until that moment. That's quite funny.
At least you had that understanding.
We thought it was like a workplace or something. Okay. This is a long time ago.
Maybe they're a family that have their own business. Maybe you weren't too far off the mark.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you into zines?
I was a lot in my late teens and early 20s.
Yeah.
There was one Perth one called, I can't even remember, something The Ponies. Do you remember this?
No.
No. It was called like Remember the Ponies, or maybe it was just called The Ponies. But I was like 18 and I got into that once. And that was...
How'd you get into that?
It was either advertised at 78 Records on a poster.
Okay, yeah.
Or like something online. But I think it might have just been you read it on a poster and then you send the work. And then if they like it, they put it in there. And then they send you the zine or you buy the zine. I can't quite remember.
Did you try and get something published on it?
I did. I did get something.
Oh, wow.
I would have it somewhere. It wasn't very good, but they still put it in, which I thought was nice. But that was really cool. But I feel like the Perth zine scene is more like photography.
Okay, yeah.
But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just looking in the wrong spots. But I feel like it's a lot of just like photo journals about people's lives or about certain subcultures. My sister gave me Doris Crabb's entire work for Christmas.
Yeah.
Have you heard of her?
No.
She's like a famous zine creator in the States. And that's pretty interesting. She's really feminist and, I like some of it. I think it's like with anything, though, because I don't know how long ago it was made. Some of it feels quite dated.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's just because that's the voice they needed then. And now it's not the voice they need now, or she needed.
Yeah.
But it's a way with a lot of protest work, isn't it? Like how quickly things date, or like how...
It's funny. I like this one book I've been working on since like 2012, and I just last year did a new draft of it. And it's amazing how many things I've had to change just in that time. And I like to think of myself as pretty woke, but I still had to sort of change some things, and the technology's changed a lot. But yeah, I'm sort of interested in that, in kind of terms of, guerrilla distribution of... I accidentally made a zine last year. The letter I was writing ended up being so sort of fragmentary that I was like, I should just turn this into a little, booklet. Oh, well. Where can we find you on the internet?
You can find me at k.j, or is it kj.writer?
Yeah.
So kj.writer. Should probably know my own handle. And read my little short bits and book reviews. And, see what you think.
I think they'll like it.
Thank you.